Okay.
They don't need any... Oh, right.
In fact, sunlight kills these plants, Christy.
What?
Sunlight kills my plants. Nice.
Oh yeah?
I grow mushrooms.
Oh. Send us some sometime.
The special ones. We're talking about the tour that you're going out in August, and also the fact that I guess you're working on a new record, or you plan to do a solo record. When do you plan to kind of sit down and start writing for that?
Well, I already have. In fact, I'm starting to gather material now. I'd like to do about 7 of my own songs and 3 or possibly 4 of other people's, and maybe 1 old one. You know, I just want to make it a really interesting, varied album. You know, I'd like to do an old rock and roll song, a rehash actually of. Well, I keep my ideas keep changing actually. I want to do an old Everly Brothers song, and I want to do. There's a couple, like Robbie's written a couple of songs, Robbie Patton. I'm just working with a lot of different people right now. Hopefully I can get started by, doesn't seem like I'll be able to start before next November now, since we're going to be working, you know, through with the touring with Fleetwood Mac. So, but I'm getting quite excited about it.
Now, when you go out to do a solo record, and you know, like you mentioned before, we've seen Nick, Stevie, and Lindsay all go out and try theirs. Is it? Do you look to the band, certain band members, to come and join you to work on a solo record, or would you like to do this totally apart and with your ideas?
Well, I don't think there's a better rhythm section than the Mac, and I don't think there aren't many guitarists that I think are as good as Lindsay. I think Lindsay's, you know, one of the best. There's a few others, but whether you'd be able to get a hold of these guys or not. So I'd love to have Mick and John and Lindsay work, and Stevie if she could, but maybe just for one song, you know, just like a kind of a gesture thing. Other than that, I think I should stay. I think I should like to just do it. If it's a solo album, it should be a solo album. And I'm really not quite sure. I've got a list of musicians that I've just got to just sort it out, you know.
Do you think that going out and doing all the solo projects, do you think that will still enable the band to get together to still cut the great records that they've been doing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I don't see that could be, a disadvantage. I think, if anything, it's going to just broaden all of our outlooks towards music and writing in general. Like I said to you before, the Tusk album enabled us to just have a few more songs. And when you've got 3 writers in a band, and you're only doing a single album, it's really difficult to have that outlet that you need if you are a prolific writer and you have a lot of things to say in music. And, the solo projects are that outlet that one needs to sort of fulfill all your musical, what's the word I'm looking for? Musical needs, I guess, you know.
When you are writing songs, whether it's for your solo record or for the band, do you think of the current state of radio, of video, now that video is coming about?
Oh, you asked me this last time.
I didn't ask you. What?
I think you asked me. No, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay, this is the first interview I've ever done. No, anyway, maybe I did ask it.
Oh, maybe it was somebody else that asked me.
But do you think of those things when you write? Do you think of like, well, with this, music is here. Would this fit in? I mean, what's the commercial versus artistic balance that you kind of keep? I mean, it's hard to give a number, but how do you kind of keep all that in line? Especially commercial
versus artistic.
Yeah, the viability, the record company coming back and saying, well, radio is like this today.
Oh, well, I think I'm one of those writers that just writes like that anyway. You know what I mean? I write 2 verses, a chorus, a bridge, a guitar solos. I tend to be, my formulas are fairly strict, and everything that I write turns out being, even if it's a bit too long, it can always be cut down, as it were, edited down to being a viable product. And so I don't really have to think about that too much. At least I haven't yet. I mean, you mentioned the word video. that's something that's quite new to us, because we've never actually done an artistic, interpretation of one of our songs. We've done videos where we're just standing on stage playing, but we've never had someone interpret it in another art form kind of thing, which we're going to do tomorrow, which is going to be very interesting to see how that turns out.
How do you think Fleetwood Mac, who've done so well interpreting what you've done on music, will work on video? And like you said, serious video, not Tusk where everybody's kind of racing around the ballpark, but actually putting together a serious video with a good director like Russell McVie.
Well, there you go. That's what I meant, really. Is someone like him that has a totally different way of looking at music. He sees it as a visual thing much more than something to, as well as to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he has a whole different concept of how he sees it. In fact, I can't even imagine. Like I say, this is the first time that we've ever done it, so I don't really know what to expect.
You see a time or a day when Fleetwood Mac would put together, along with an audio album that's been released, an actual video record that would actually have the interpretation of the songs on a video disc, not necessarily the entire concept with each song tying in, but separate stories. Do you see that, or is that?
I don't know. I mean, I had no idea what. Well, we're doing that video with David Putnam, right?
Right.
I don't quite know what the concept for that is, but I don't see any reason why not. As long as it's entertaining. I mean, anything's good as long as it's entertaining.
Well, why did you do, as far as David Putnam coming out to the tour? I know that he's the big star or the producer of Chariots of Fire, things like that. How do you feel about this? Is about having your tour taped or filmed the whole way, documented?
Well, I mean that's really it's a tremendous thrill for us, because in fact he's cancelled a lot of other things in order to be able to do this with us, and I think he's either Mick or somebody knew him from years ago in England or something, and I've never met him myself, but he's supposed to be a real regular guy, and aside from being a photographic genius, I mean, it's just a real thrill to be able to do something like that with him, and we're all looking forward to it.